Kim Coltman, founder and executive director of Fashion Speaks International, FSI, showcased wearable art made by 6 Indigenous clothing designers and more in honor of MMIWG2S. The show's theme? Resolution. FSI's very first show happened in 2015 after the commencement of the MMIWG inquiry. First Nations, Métis, and Inuit families across Canada were hastened into a spotlight, sharing their knowledge in hopes of finding the truth in the great mystery. What happened? Where are they? When will they be home? Valley TV News had a chance to speak with Kim Coltman, the organizer of the MMIWG2S fashion show.
I am thrilled with the way things have happened tonight. We pulled together, our community pulled together so last minute.
Mentioned the fashion show was originally planned to be at the Quayote Lodge and Spa at Talking Rock Golf Resort in Little Shuswap. However, the guest wing of the building burnt down 10 days before the event. So Kim and her associates worked extensively to have their special event on date at the Kamloops Residential School Gymnasium in Kamloops, Teshuvquetnuk.
Great opportunity to showcase for Indigenous designers as well as Indigenous peoples. So I get to represent for my community and my people, and I feel like it's a huge, huge honor to do so.
Before the show began, we were blessed by all my relations, a multi-generational family who practice different forms of dancing. Every dance required different regalia, typically worn at powwows. The entire fashion show was a sacred ceremony with Indigenous people's safety in mind. Not only was education a priority, so was witnessing detailed work, saunter, and dance on the green catwalk.
We're teaching the young models to walk with their heads held high, to make eye contact so that they're acknowledging people that are around them, and that way those people are acknowledging them, making it much harder for a predator to just take them without somebody noticing.
Fashion is no new concept to Indigenous people, and it shows. Before contact, we had fashion for over a millennium. We had dyes, buttons, fringes, sewing techniques, patterns, fabrics, furs, adornments, jewelry, and body art.
I'm really holding traditional knowledge of plants and botanicals of the Scalo people through my fashion. So it's contemporary, it's not traditional fashion, but it's traditional knowledge.
Yes. You don't need to be Indigenous to attend open invitation Indigenous events. You just need an open mind and non-violence. A recommended method to create sustainable bridges between communities.
I actually am a self-taught seamstress. I didn't go to any classes or anything like that. I just love to sew, and just it came naturally to me, whereas something like beading and painting takes a lot more patience, I feel like. But then I kind of got into graphic design, so doing some apparel and then designing on my tablet. And to me, I just like to create designs that educate others through art on Indigenous issues.
For Valley TV News, I'm Valerie Diamond, saying Mawikchin as Chkich
And welcome back to the Rural Perspective. Thank you so much for watching today. And we are going to be catching up with Kim Coltman of Fashion Speaks International and see what wonderful and interesting things that her company is doing. So you guys are pretty busy from the sounds of it.
Oh my gosh, things are going really crazy, but it's so much fun, and it's so exciting because we're able to take so many Indigenous fashion models and artists and fashion designers and entertainers with us to Paris, and we're leaving for Cannes on May the 15th. We will be there for the Cannes Film Festival, and we're doing an art and fashion festival at the same time.
Mm. So how do these opportunities come about for Fashion Speaks International? What are the details, the behind the scenes work? I'm imagining that you're quite busy.
It's been crazy, and organizing shows overseas is not as easy as it might seem, because we don't have anybody on the ground there. We have to trust people will do what they say they're going to do, and that doesn't always happen. So these shows are a little trickier, but they're also really super exciting. One of our goals has always been, and my um, my goal specifically in setting up Fashion Speaks International was to be a voice for missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. One of the things that I believe to be true is that many of our missing women and girls are being sold off into human trafficking, the sex trade. So if we can reach out internationally and show images of our missing and murdered, maybe we'll stand a better chance of getting some of them back. So building a fashion coalition was the goal, because the more of us that are out there watching, the better. Fashion is probably the biggest voice in the world, in my opinion, because from the moment that you're born and somebody puts a diaper on your bottom to the day that you die and somebody selects your final resting outfit, we're affected by fashion. It has a huge voice. So let's use it, and use it in a way that's going to help people.
Absolutely. And you're definitely doing that. I mean, you're seeing so many changes within the Indigenous model industry within itself. We're seeing, more Indigenous models, more Indigenous actors and people coming to the forefront. How does that feel for you to have been working on this concept for years? How is it for you to kind of see that shift in modern media?
It's been amazing. I mean, we have so many talented Indigenous people, and it's important that people understand the stories behind the Indigenous artwork as well. So we try and make sure that each piece tells a story about what's going on for that fashion designer, through the models, walking the runways. Cannes is going to be exceptional. We already have celebrity guests that have bought tickets for the show. We're doing an art. Oh, good Lord, I'm sorry. I'm fumbling here, and I don't normally do that. My apologies again.
That's all right. That's okay. It's one of those days. You've got a lot on your plate.
I do. And the other thing that I'm working on in the call, which is why I was late for this morning, is I'm trying to get an all Indigenous fashion 2024 Olympics in Paris. We're going to anyway for week. So we thought, well, let's see if we can get involved with the Olympics over there and the Paralympics. We are currently setting up competitions to take models with us. So there are models who don't have access to the internet, so this competition could be difficult for them.
Oh, okay. So tell us a little bit about the upcoming model competition. When does it start, and what are you looking for?
Well, this week we're actually putting out the model call. There will be two different ways that models can buy a package to go to Cannes, which will give them airfare, accommodations, ground transportation from Nice to Cannes and back again. It'll give them a per diem for, no, wait, that's for the winter. Packages will include the photo shoots, it'll include the fashion show. So there's a lot that's going on. One of my partners, and I do partner with people, that's the only way I could get it done, is Anne-Marie also, and she owns AMA Imagery. She has been to Paris with us. She is one of our lead photographers for every show that we do here, and she's an ally. So her take on it is right now we are doing a pay to play, but eventually, once we get better established, it will turn into be paid to play. So
Wow.
at this time, unfortunately, we have to pay for everybody to get there and pay for all of the shows. We're not being
Oh.
paid yet.
Oh,
But
wow.
here's the thing. It's not about us. It is about all of us, not just those of us who are doing this. It's about protecting our women, our girls, our two-spirit people. It's about showing the world what we're capable of in terms of fashion, in terms of artistry, in terms of storytelling, in terms of being able to try and find our women and children.
All right. So, can you tell us what the driving force behind everything that you do? What is it?
Well, I think MMIW is a huge issue for me. My sister was murdered, and the police never even bothered to look into it. She had boot prints all over her back and her bottom and her legs, and they wouldn't look into it. They didn't investigate in any way, shape, or form.
Okay.
Also because when a week before my 16th birthday, I was abducted and I was brutalized. And I still, to this day, have no idea how long he held me for.
Oh,
So this is an issue that really touches home for me,
yeah.
but it also touches home for every single fashion designer that I work with, every single fashion model that I work with. It is a huge issue in our Indigenous communities. So when working with Indigenous people, it's always at issue. So those are some things that we want to try and prevent moving forward. We also do a lot of work around Every Child Matters,
Right.
around trafficking. Um, we do a lot of work around Indigenous issues, including Indian residential school survivors.
So,
Um,
is there an educational aspect behind what you do?
Yes, we actually do a lot of workshops, and within our workshops, we don't just work on photo posing and runway work. We work on the inner person as well because confidence comes from inside. And when you're on a runway, if you're not confident, you can see that. It shows up. So we really want to try and make sure that we are addressing those issues, the self-esteem, the self-awareness. Um, all of those things are super important in terms of our healing as well. So this is a healing journey for all of us, and we have each other to lean on, and it's been an incredible experience.
Oh, that's amazing. Now, Kim, can you tell us a little bit about that last fashion show that you had put on? And can you tell us what sort of what the plan is for the next fashion show? It seemed to be very successful when we were able to attend. What were your thoughts on it?
That show was probably one of the most difficult ones I've ever done, only because we kept running into issue after issue. I had been working on that show for well over 8 months, and what was it, 11 days before the event was to take place, our venue burnt down. So we're scrambling. I mean, we've got 11 days to put this whole show back together. We no longer have the forest area that the models were supposed to walk out of. So we had to try and create that. So we're so eternally grateful for Art Naps for lending us all of the plants and everything else that made up our runway there. We had a lot of different people step up to the plate last minute, and it was amazing. We had Johnny's hairstyling coming in last minute because our previous hair team was in Chase, where our venue was. So we no longer had hair. We still had makeup, thankfully. But we no longer had a hair team. We no longer had a venue. We no longer had caterers. We had nothing. So we started over again. And I'm pleased to say that the show went off very, very well anyway. I was very happy with what we were able to produce in 11 days.
Wow, that is incredible. I would have never known all of that had gone down just before the model show was absolutely put together so well. It sounds like there's a lot of hoops to jump over. Do you feel it has anything to do with being an Indigenous entrepreneur, working with Indigenous models at all, or do you just feel like that's how things go in the fashion world?
Fashion is crazy. I've never ever in all my years, and I've been a fashion model since 1972. I have never once participated in a fashion show where everything went as planned right from the get-go. It's unheard of. There's always something happening because there's so many moving parts to putting together a fashion show. You're not only dealing with the venue, you're dealing with entertainers, you're dealing with models, you're dealing with fashion designers, you're dealing with caterers, you're dealing with makeup artists, hairstylists, photographers, videographers. Like, there are a lot of moving parts. So you have to try and keep all of those parts together. And it doesn't always work the way that you intended it to work. But no matter how it works, the show must go on.
Yeah.
I would never allow a show not to go on, no matter what. Even
I think I'd be ready to give up after all that.
my goodness, we were in Paris 2 years ago. We just got back from there in September. But we were there right before they shut the world down. We actually got back, and as we got back to Canada from France, they shut everything down. We got, I think, on the last plane before we wouldn't have been able to get home. So the pandemic kind of threw a wrench into a lot of things. But that particular show, we had a ballroom set up at the Normandy Hotel in Paris. And the day of our show, the water pipes in the ceiling in the ballroom burst. We were ankle deep in water. There was absolutely no way we could do the show in there. No way. So we moved that show out into the hallway of the hotel, and we did it there because the show must go on. So I've been really, really lucky in terms of being able to do these shows because I have a partner, Chelsea Rayel out of Regina, Saskatchewan, who owns International Indigenous Fashion Week. And she's been doing these shows in New York and other places for some time. She and I worked together on doing the first Paris show. And then we worked together again on all of the next shows in Paris. So what we have planned for 2023 is we have Cannes, and that show will be May 20th in Cannes. Plus we have the Artist Festival and Fair and Showroom on the 19th of May. So we leave Canada May 15th. We'll be back on the 21st.
Wow.
We're running
Go ahead.
We're running the competitions to take the models with us. We have the designer invitations out already for Cannes, but we're also working on Paris for September of 23 and New York for September of 2023.
Oh, wow.
Then we're working. Sorry.
And is there anything that our listeners can do to support you?
Absolutely. Vote for the models. Pick a model out in the competition. You can follow us on our Facebook page, which is Fashion Speaks International. And on that page, we'll be posting the images of all the models who are competing to go. And they'll be posting their links as well. So people can vote on those links, and that will help the models to get there. If there are any businesses out there that would like to support these endeavors, these projects, they can certainly do donations, and we would use those funds to get youth to Paris or Cannes with us or wherever we're going, because we always try and make sure that we're doing workshops while we're there.
Yeah.
We're training these models. We're giving them the tools that they need to move forward confidently in life. And that to me is probably one of the most important things that we do.
Well, that's awesome. Now, what sort of advice would you give to perhaps an Indigenous model who lives in a rural community who's thinking, "Hey, maybe I'd like to try out"? What advice would you offer them?
I would tell them to get online, follow Fashion Speaks, follow International Indigenous Fashion Week, and compete in this competition to go to Paris, because you'll get the training there. The winner of the competition gets what they win is round fare airfare from Montreal to Cannes, well, to Nice actually, and then ground transportation from Nice to Cannes, and then they'll be taking part in a 2-day workshop for models. So they'll get 2 days worth of training. We do have some celebrity models that are coming to do that training for us this time as well. And that's all being set up by my partner, Chelsea Real, out of Regina, and International Indigenous Fashion Week. So we have, the other thing that they'll win is they'll get a $50 per day per diem for food. They get the the photo shoots, they get the fashion show. So they get to be a part of all of it, as well as with a meet and greet with celebrities that will be at the event. So it's going to be an incredible event, and I'm so looking forward to it. I'm
That's
looking,
amazing.
yes. There's so many different projects. The next project that I have going for here, because I've talked about Cannes, Paris, New York, and then Paris again for the Olympics. We'll be there in France for the Olympics as well. One of the things that we are looking for in models, and any age, although for Cannes you have to be 18 plus, but we don't care about your age other than you have to be over 18. We don't care about your height, your weight. We are all inclusive. We don't care what gender you identify as. We accept female, male, two-spirit. All people are welcome with us. One of the things that we truly want to do, and we've been unsuccessful in doing, is also inviting models who have a visible disability, because we don't see them much on runways, particularly in Paris and some of these other areas. We see them more in North America than anywhere else. So we try and take a model with us who has a physical disability that we can help them to work with and to be able to walk the runway.
That sounds amazing. Kim, you're such an inspiration. It's great to catch up with you. Now, lastly, and again, and how and where can people find you and go to support you?
They can go to Fashion Speaks International on Facebook. Unfortunately, my website is down right now. I'm completely revamping it. After COVID, things kind of went crazy and I let it go. So I should not have done that, because now I get to start from scratch, which is not my favorite thing to do. But that's still under construction. So I don't have my website up. People can send emails to F as in Frank, SI, so Sierra Igloo Models @gmail.com to inquire. And again, the Facebook page for Fashion Speaks has everything on it. I post everything there. One of the projects that I'm working on that I do need help with, since we're doing a call out for support, is I've written a grant. I haven't yet received any funds, but I want to do a fashion performance piece here in Kamloops that is dedicated to MMIW. So what this piece is going to do is I'm going to hire 20 models and 20 fashion designers, and those 20 fashion designers will be asked to submit one red dress.
Okay.
Then we're working with Mastermind Studios, and we're going to create a performance show that will also be videoed. And at the end of the show, people will be able to click on the link for the show, And every time people click on that link, a donation will be made to MMIW. So that one is one that would be an ongoing um, fundraising opportunity for MMIW, and that's something that we have yet to do. We've done several shows to raise funds, but I'm finding that we're not raising as much as I would like to.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking that in doing it this way, we might stand a better chance of making additional funds, and we'll be able to show constantly changing images of women and children who are going missing. So we'll be able to update those images constantly.
All right, Kim. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, and we hope you have a great day.
Thank you. Much appreciated. You guys have a great day too.